Alex Cuba, thank you for taking some time here to join us, the Toddcast podcast, Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah,
How's
man.
how's your world been, man, for the last couple of years? You managed to evade COVID? Did you catch it?
No, actually, I didn't get it. Oh, at least I didn't get tested. I had some sort of a strange flu, but I decided not to go test it,
Oh yeah.
not to go get a test, and so it's a mystery.
I think I got it again, like you. I just didn't get tested, but anyway.
Good for you.
Talk about how that affected your game plan as an artist, as a touring musician. How did the pandemic change your life last couple of years?
Well, I've been saying on my shows, the ones that I just started playing recently down in the Okanagan, and I did 2 shows with the symphony,
Yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. And I've been saying that, I almost felt bad when I started saying it, but then I realized that maybe it's something that people want to hear, people need to hear, is that not everything was bad out of the pandemic, for me, at least for me, right? And I'm sure for many other people. But I'm saying that because in my case, the pandemic, when touring was impossible, everything was stay in your house. We don't know, what's going to happen next. I'm not going to say that I was, so strong and whatever. No, the beginning of it was, for me, was kind of intense when the idea of such amount of uncertainty started sinking into my mind. I had a little bit of a tough time at the beginning, but then something happened that allowed me to switch to my creative side and really embrace that.
interesting.
When Bill Wheeler passed away just at the beginning of the pandemic, and I received an email from CBC Vancouver. They were putting together the show Hot Air. It's mainly a jazz show. They wanted to put together a show, like a tribute show to Bill Withers, and they were asking me if I wanted to participate. The way to participate was they were asking all musicians to record themselves at home and send their version of whatever tune they wanted from Bill Withers, right? And my initial reaction was, no, I'm not gonna do that. No. Because I was wrapped up on the negativity of what was going on. And then a couple of days went by, and my wife and manager and best person beside me ever says to me, "You should do it. You should do it," knowing that if I put attention to it, that will. She knew that it was gonna trigger, it was gonna trigger something in me, right? Trigger something in me, and so I say yes, and I brought all of my little toys to a corner here in my living room, and I began recording it. It was quite the process because my neighbor, the living room, right? My neighbor is quite close to me.
Yeah,
Was fixing a diesel truck that he had, and so was turning it on and leaving it on for like minutes, like 45 minutes, and then stepping on the gas and then going around the block and come back and doing the same thing. So it was very frustrating, but I managed to get it done. I actually threw some Spanish in there to sort of, make it personal, make it my, go put my identity in there.
sure.
And
Yeah,
I sent it, I mixed it however I could and sent it to Vancouver. And in the morning, I got an email saying, "Alex, you brought tears to our eyes."
wow.
And that's all it took for me to say, really? Holy shit. So I began recording, and the pandemic turned me into recording a whole album myself right here in my living room.
Oh, that's
And
amazing,
then,
because I've talked to so many people during the pandemic. That's what I do. So I interview people, right?
yeah,
And a lot of people have said that the pandemic and COVID and just kind of being isolated and away from friends and all that has
yeah,
really stifled their creativity. So it's cool to
yeah.
see that there is the other side.
Well, my mixing engineer kept telling me, dude, I don't know what you're doing, but you're tapped into some sort of beautiful thing in there. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. Because so many musicians are they're basically doing nothing, you know.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, you know what? I don't want this album to be, you know, to go down in history, or at least in my discography, as the album that came out of the pandemic, you know, make it all sad and shit, you know.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm gonna do what people know of me, you know, which has always been uplifting music, happy music, bright, you know. And so I made an effort to do that, and I did it. Also, I reached out to 5 collaborators internationally, and they were all looking forward to do stuff, you know. So everybody was there, recorded themselves at home, sent me their tracks. It was the most beautiful experience. But then all of a sudden, the album goes all the way to winning Grammy. You know, it's like, what the hell? I wasn't expecting this, you know. So, and it has triggered now me taking things in that direction, you know, taking it to the next level, which is I never had a recording studio here in Smithers for a reason, because I'm always on the road. I've always been on the road, and you know, it gets cold in Smithers, and to have a studio with no use to it and some toys inside of it, you have to keep it heated and things like that. And what's going to be a unnecessary sort of, you know, expense.
Yeah, sure.
And I but now with the pandemic, I look deeper into that. I gotten a lot of people asking me to produce music for them, which I already did from my living room, no problem. But the day after I won the Grammy, a couple of big acts asked me if I would produce them. So I'm like, wow, my studio is coming right on time. In about 2 weeks, the constructor that we hire is going to begin doing it. It's my garage. I'm turning it into a studio.
That is amazing.
And then I will balance my life between touring and producing, right? Because also I'm not 20 years old anymore, so I want to spend more time at home. You know.
Yeah, right. And I hear that your greatest inspiration is a guy named Chris Marco. Chris and I go back to grade 6, dude. I met Chris up in Paris.
I was gonna say, let me guess, you guys are buddies.
Yeah, we've been buddies since I guess probably the mid '80s.
That's amazing, dude. Yeah, Chris is my wife's cousin. I call him cousin too. When he calls me Alex, I say, hey, no, you gotta call me cousin. I'm your cousin too. But funny, the most beautiful and funny stories ever. You know, like he was up. I think he was in somewhere in I don't know, in Yellowknife or something like that, somewhere really high up, or even Nunavut or something like that.
Yeah.
Working on some floors and stuff, and he had a few international, you know, people from other countries. Some of them were from Colombia, Mexico, and they were listening to my music one day, and Chris walked up to them and said, "Hey, that's my cousin." And they started laughing right on his face. What do you mean? That's Alex Cuba. Come on. And then he got me on the phone. He said, he texted me first. I need you to prove for me right now that you are. I said, okay, sure. So I spoke to them. They were like, oh. So I guess Chris got like many points in that opportunity. He went up in the scale of points up to 100.
Well, of course, right? No, it's the same sort of thing too. Like I'd made I can't remember what it was. Chris and I were just texting back and forth a couple months back, and he was like, "Oh, you should talk to my cousin Alex Cuba. He just won a Grammy award." And like literally the day prior, your PR agency that you're using to push this, to push the album and stuff, they had just reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to talk to this guy? He lives up in Smithers and he's a great Canadian artist that just won a Grammy award for it was Best Latin, I think, right?" And I was like, "Chris, that's crazy, man. Like I just got asked yesterday if I wanted to talk to this guy." So that's a small world. How about that, eh? That's crazy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So you're a couple Junos in now. You've won a couple Juno awards. You've won the 4 Latin Grammy awards. Recently, the best Latin pop album, like you're saying, with the Grammys. Tell us about when you found out about winning a Grammy. Something about a snowstorm?
Yeah, I don't think there is something more Canadian than that.
Right, truly.
I was proud. I was proud to say it. Let's just put it that way. The couple of shows that I mentioned before that I was doing with the symphony down in the Okanagan.
Yeah.
That was the Okanagan Symphony Orchestra. We did the Friday, we did a show in Kelowna. The Saturday, we did a show in Vernon. It was super cool, like 32 musicians down the highway, you know, like I felt that was the biggest entourage I ever had in my life, in my career. Couple of beautiful shows, and that's the reason why I couldn't go. The Grammys changed their original date, or the original date from January 31st to April 3rd because of COVID. And when they did that, it conflicted with my shows and stuff. I bought tickets. I was gonna go with my wife, my daughter. We were gonna go down to LA. You know, it would have been amazing to be there in person and win this thing. You know, but sometimes it's funny. You know, I'm thinking. I'm left thinking, wow, maybe if I went, I would. You know, I would have not win this thing. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it was Sunday, the day to return home from Kelowna. I was driving. My wife and my youngest son went with me, and we were just approaching Cornell. I made the decision to drive during the hours that I knew the Grammys were going to be happening, because my publicist, like an hour before or two, forward to me the program, you know, how it was going to run.
Yep.
And I knew, so I said to myself, let me drive so that I'm not glued to the screen of my phone, right? Because otherwise I would have been like this, you know, the whole
sure, understandably,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, and so we start, and we're approaching Cornell, and the phones go out of service, I guess, all of that, and it starts snowing, and I'm like, man, I could have been now in Vegas, of course, you know. Instead, we're here returning to winter. It totally felt like we were going back to winter.
Yeah.
And suddenly the phones, you know, got back on service, and all of a sudden the phone rings in the car. I had it connected to the Bluetooth in the car. I answered. I didn't recognize the number because sometimes it doesn't tell you the name of the person, just the number. And we are all, you know, who remembers numbers? Yeah. But anyway,
yeah,
it was my publicist. It was my publicist from New York, who has been trying to get in touch with me for the last, I don't know, 10 minutes, right? And I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, I need you to send me a quote for the media. And I'm like, hey, well, hold on a minute. What are you talking about? Oh, you don't know? No, we don't know what. I say, you won. Oh my God.
Nice, dude.
When he said one, he started screaming. We started screaming through the car. I've been saying I'm proud that I kept the car on the road, you know, because it was a really freaky, surreal moment, you know. And then we were like 10 minutes out, and he said, I need you to park now and send me a quote right away, because we need to spread the news. So we stopped in Cornell, and my son was sleeping in the back seat, and I woke him up and said, hey, what's up? I just won a Grammy. And he started screaming too. And then it was a super surreal moment. It's like, oh my God, the first time that anything like that happens to me in my life. And wow, he threw me for the following week into this kind of a weird floating sort of feeling, you know, like
Cloud
once
nine,
in a while,
yeah. Sure.
Once in a while it will come back to me, and I will go, shit, man, I won. We won this thing. So it was pretty memorable, you know, in my life.
For sure. And so where do awards like that, like where do they rank in terms of career highlights?
Well, it is definitely the biggest prize that music has all over the world, you know. It's the biggest award for music. And just in the personal, what I think once in a while is, man, this is the award that heroes, you know, people that I look up to, people that have changed the course of music, like, I don't know, Michael Jackson, Earth, Wind and Fire, you name it, you know, you name it, right? And I'm like, this is the same award again, because it's the American Grammy. And in Latin music, it's the biggest category, you know. So to win for a dude from Cuba that emigrated to Canada 23 years ago, that came to Smithers almost 20 years ago, that recorded this album in his living room, to win this thing down there is mentally dangerous. Let's just put it that way. It's mentally dangerous.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And so the horn band that you have on the new album, like you had all of them in your living room then?
No. That was the only thing that and the vocals of the collaborators, of course.
Okay.
Was the only thing that was done externally.
So they'll just send you like the bits on Pro Tools kind of thing, and then.
Yeah, I arranged it because I've been working with the horn arranger down in Havana for a while. He's in quite a few of my albums, and when I reached out, because I didn't want the album to be small either, right? It's like the pandemic is not an excuse for that. We can do whatever we want. The technology is here to defend us, right?
Yeah.
And so I arranged the thing with him, and then he told me, "Oh, I'm really excited! I have a new project. It's a big band. It's a jazz band. It's 13 horns. That would be amazing to have that sound on your music." And I said, "What? But it would be very expensive. It would be very expensive too, no? That's a lot of people to pay." But no, we came to an arrangement, and they did it, and then sent me the files, and we got mixing, and it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's great. What was your first concert that you went to? Who did you see? Who was the first band you saw?
When I was growing up and stuff in Cuba, so many. I don't even remember. For some reason, the thing that I remember the most was the moment that I have the first encounter, let's put it that way, with an electric bass. And that takes me back to that concert that I saw. A band from Havana came to my town. I am from a town about 50 minutes, about an hour outside of Havana City. It's called Artemisa. In Cuba, is considered, of course, the country, right?
Sure.
It's not even a suburb, it's the country. It's like 80,000 people town. So this band, I think it was La Orquesta Revés, a popular band from Cuba, came to my town, and that was the first time I was between 11 and 13 years old.
Oh, young.
And so this,
saw
this electric bass, and I said to my dad, "What the hell is that?" And it's like, "Oh, that's an electric bass." And he's like, "You like it?" And I'm like, "No, I like it. No, I want one now." And so my dad did whatever he needed to do, moving, everything on his path to make it happen. And he got me a bass. A month later, I had a bass in my hands, and I began there. And that was the point of no return for me in music.
Yeah, of course, right? Like, I don't like it, Dad. I love it. Like,
exactly.
I need one of those as well. So you've been releasing music, just kind of, I don't know if this is true, maybe you've been releasing it longer than what the internet knows, but it's saying that you've been basically releasing music since about 2001.
Absolutely.
So
that was
do the 20 years, have they gone by in like the blink of an eye? Have they gone by super fast?
Yes. Yes, music and any work of creativity, I think, has the mystery and the magic to absorb time, to make the artist not feel the time when you're doing it.
Right.
And so it's like, whoa, yeah, looking back now, I guess we're done. I've been telling lately to my friends when they go, "Oh man, Grammy, holy shit." And I'm like,
crazy,
"Hey,
it's
whatever you think of me, I don't even think it's talent anymore. It's time."
Right.
You know what I mean, right?
Sure. Sure. That's great. What a cool feeling to have, people acknowledge your hard work. Essentially, that's what's happening, right? It's very cool, man. Yeah. Especially like, dude, I got my start in radio at the mighty BVLD.
Whoa.
In like 96, 97. I worked there for about 4 months and then went to Prince George eventually, but and then down to Vancouver to do working at CFOX. But yeah, man, I got my start in Smithers where you are right now.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy to think.
That's wonderful.
Outside of music and what you're known for, what are you binge watching lately?
Oh, believe it or not, I don't. And I know that I have to make the effort, because sometimes music consumes me, consumes all of me,
Sure.
and it's sometimes it's even a weird thing, because for the people around me, because the truth is that once that happens, I don't know how to disconnect, and it's just grabbing me, right? And but sometimes I make the conscious decision to come out of there and try to find something to watch or whatever. I'm almost finished with the first season of this series on Netflix that I found not too long ago. It's called Taboo.
Oh, that's on my hit list. I want to see it. It looks
Yeah.
amazing. Like it's old, like in the late 1800s.
Yes.
Is that the right one? Yeah.
Yes, it's very well done, man. It's like so beautiful. It's a joint venture between Netflix and BBC, I think.
Yeah, and it's like Tom Hardy, the guy that like plays Venom, is the one of the main actors, right?
Absolutely. I think this is gonna send him to the moon. This is like he's already in the moon. He's gonna go beyond the moon now.
Yeah.
As an actor, he really is killing it. He killed it.
He really is quite good. Yeah.
But he speaks a lot about African history and stuff like that, and so interests me somehow. I got to find out about or to remember, because I probably knew about the bird Sankofa, which is something very mystical in the African diaspora. It's a bird. It simplifies a retrieve, like going back to your roots, retrieve your and claim your past. To learn, to bring it to the present and learn, and But it's a beautiful thing. I probably get a tattoo of that bird because of that. Because of the series I'm watching.
Yeah, wow, no kidding. Now, I can appreciate that that it's probably hard for you to get pulled away from your music. I can appreciate that. Are you a big sports fan? Like, do you watch the Canucks? Do you watch UFC or the Raptors or anything like that?
Not at all. And Chris can tell you about it. I don't. I did a little bit, baseball. That's mandatory in Cuba. That's our national sports, right? Every kid does. We play on the street. It's like the same way we play hockey here.
What position did you play?
All of them. All of them.
True. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. You get to do all of them. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But and then I did a little bit of karate and even kung fu. But when when I found that electric bass, like I said, that was the point of no return. And then I was spending 6 to 8 hours in my room practicing. So I was also a bodybuilder at some point between 9. I was interested in doing things like that was when Arnold and his movies Terminator and stuff started coming out or whatever, and I got interested on that. But aside from that, that was it for me. Music became everything. What I do, I go for a walk. I try to do a lot of physical work, either in the yard or preparing now the garage for the contractor to begin working. I try to do a lot of physical. I like doing physical work, like leaving all of the yards like very clean and very beautiful. Sweating a lot, I love that. It keeps me in shape. If the days that I am full on in music and I'm bumping around, sometimes I feel the consequence because then I put my back out or something. But it's just what it tells me, and it tells you is that it could throw me a little bit out of balance. So the idea is to find that balance no matter what. Where you're taking care of your physical body too as well. But I can be in front of my computer producing a song, recording new stuff, whatever. I can be there for 8 hours and I don't feel time.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then when I get up, and wait a minute.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm looking at alternative way of spending time in front of a computer, whether it's type of chair that you are not fully sitting down, you're like half standing up kind of thing, because I'm planning to produce a lot of music.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Before music consumed you, what was the worst job you had before getting into music?
Todd, I gotta tell you, and I get asked this question many times. People ask me, when did you make the decision that music was going to be your career, was going to be your living?
Well, it sounded like 11 years old and grabbing an electric bass.
And the answer is that I really really never made the decision.
Really?
I just roll into it. I follow what I feel is the thing that I came here to do on Earth, and life has taken me into a very supportive, let's put it that way, path. Whether because I found an incredible partner, I found a woman that understands that artistic sensibility, and she supports it. My wife, Sarah, is like unlike any other woman in the world. I think not even my mother supports my dad. The way she supports me, because when I get that beast coming down for me of creativity, she said, "Okay, I know what I have to do. I'll get out of your way, and the space is mine." And boom, I'm lucky that I get to justify that craziness now with the Grammy in front of her.
Exactly. Excuse me, I just got to step aside and make another Grammy award-winning album here. So,
baby, you see, it's worth it. I know what I'm talking about. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Right.
But I lost my train of thought there for a minute. What was your question? Let me get back to it.
The worst job you've had.
Right. I was on my way to say, I never worked on anything else than music.
Wow, really? That's
and
great.
I tell you,
good for you. Holy crap.
I tell you, when I came to Canada, I went straight into music. There was a Cuban band in Victoria. My brother, I have a brother, a twin brother with me. He's a singer too. That came to Canada like 8 months before I did. For whatever reason, life wanted it that way. And he came with the band, and about 5 musicians from that band decided to stay in Canada and not return to Cuba. And so they formed a band in Victoria. And when I got there, the musicians were there. So I went straight into, they gave me the name me the director of the band, because nobody wrote music or arranged. And I came loaded from Cuba with so many songs. And ready to take it on. So I began, and there was a momentum there for a little while. Then that died, that momentum, and that's when I said, well, the only way I will give up music is for my family. The only reason in the world, right? And so I said, okay, music is not bringing enough money to live, so let me do something about this. I put together a really crappy curriculum, resume for people, for me to try to find a job. I looked at the paper. There were a few restaurants looking for somebody to wash the dishes. I said, whatever I do, whatever it takes, for my family. I took the resume to a few different places. A month went by and nobody called me back. And music, boom, all of a sudden got busy again. I started playing the bass with like 6 different bands in Victoria, not only Latin music. I am trained and experiencing in any kind of music there is, including jazz, funk, rock, whatever you name. And that could be heard through my music, that I don't stick to one genre, right? And so that was it.
Good for you, man. That's such a cool story.
From that point, something very fundamental happened, which was a local band from Victoria was looking for a bass player. And because I made a little sign when I got to Victoria that said, new hot Cuban bass player in town for lessons or whatever. Here is my number. And I took it to every music store. And this guy found that little sign. He called me looking for a bass player for a show that he was putting together. And so I showed up the next day to the first rehearsal. And the rehearsal is in a studio, in a music recording studio. And I'm like, oh my God. This is within months that I moved to Canada to live, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. I smell something here happening. So we rehearsed. They loved my playing. You know, it was a very beautiful moment because I felt welcome. You know, I felt like, yeah, I always wanted to connect with the Canadian industry. I wasn't one of those, you know, immigrants that finds it impossible to sort of really integrate the community. You know, I made an effort because I had to learn to speak English. I have to know the musician. I have to meet the musicians. You know, I have to, if I want to make a living from music in Canada, right? And so we rehearsed twice, and then the third day was the show in Victoria. We played it, and just when we finished playing the show, I said to the guy, "Hey, I ain't got any money yet, but I got a shitload of music. I got music. Can we make a deal? You record us, you record me with a little trio that I have, and I give you 50% of the profit, whatever comes, give you 50%. And he was such a kind guy. His name is Brandon Foreman. Such a kind man that he said to me, Alex, come on, I know you're new to Canada, but 50 is too much. I'm okay with 15. And I said, oh, really? Okay, how about 10? How about 10? You know?
Did I say 50? I meant 5.
Yeah, but we laughed. It was pretty spontaneous thing.
Well, that's great.
In 2 weeks, he called me for one reason. He said, since you mentioned your Cuban music to me, Cuba is been following me. I open up the newspaper and I see Buena Vista is a club in there. Turn the TV on. Another Cuban musician. We got to talk, buddy. I said, okay, cool. See you tomorrow. So I went down to his studio and said, okay, let's do it. We do it on those bases. I record you and then we split the deal. And if you get found or something by a label before the album gets to, and they want to buy the album, I get a cut from there, business, right?
Sure.
And so we planned and we got down to his studio one day and started recording. I had a little trio with my brother and another musician. And we began the first song, blah, 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 blah. He was on the other side of the glass, in the control room, watching us play. And all of a sudden, I see he's on the phone. And I'm like, what did I think? I was, this guy's not taking us seriously. He's like, blah, 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 whatever,
Sure, yeah.
Completely out of focus.
But meanwhile, who's he on the phone with?
With a distributor, a music distributor from Victoria. He was telling the guy, you better get your ass here. I'm experiencing magic in front of me.
Wow.
You better get your ass here. Within 20 minutes, the guy was there. And within minutes, he was talking to us and he said, hey, I'm going to connect you to the label that I work with in Toronto, whatever. Fast forward, within 2 weeks, the head of the label from Toronto was down in Victoria, checking us out. And there we began. We ended up putting together this first album that I did in Canada, like you said at the beginning, going back to 2001. It came out in 2000, that album, the summer of 2000. It was called the Puentes Brothers, Morumba Cubana. It was a project with my brother. And he put us on the map in Canada. We went to every festival there is. We were the first Latino musicians in Canada to be on much more music. We did so many firsts, It was a beautiful thing. And it was quite the groundbreaking experience for me.
Well, that's incredible. And so how far, now that you're this far into the game, like how far ahead are you scheduled? Like you must be, like, what's the rest of your year looking like? And maybe into next year?
Yeah, we're going as far as March next year now.
Yeah. That's crazy, right? To think you're almost a year ahead of the schedule, and it needs to be that way.
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't stop. We're getting offers every day, and many of them don't make any sense. But I like
sure.
But I like the how the how do you say how constant is now happening, right? Because it only tells you that we've worked, for more than 20 years for something that now we can see
it's working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's cool. Alex, thank you, man, for taking some time. I'll wrap it up. I respect your time here. You're at Alex Cuba on Twitter, at I am Alex Cuba on Instagram.
Yes.
Anywhere else that I should send people to?
Oh, Facebook is. Did you mention Facebook already? No.
No.
It's Alex Cuba Music on Facebook.
Alex Cuba Music on Facebook. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
and
again.
my website, alexcuba.com, which is the place where we tend to really post all of our dates and stuff. I have a massive tour coming up now in the US. We also heading to the Junos. I'm up. Something really cool happened this year for the first time ever, and due to the pandemic and the Grammys having to move that day, I was at the same time nominated for a Grammy and for a Juno Award. You know, that's fantastic. So they won the Grammy. Let's see if the Juno wants to come to Smithers with me.
Sure.
I don't know. But whatever happens, Sarah and I, we're coming to experience, to share with the music industry of Canada and to have a good time, for sure.
Right on, Alex. Well, good luck on the Juno. Congrats on the Grammy win. And sounds good, doesn't it? And we'll see you online, man. Thanks again.